Oh, well, you all know what my Glock sounds like, so pretend you just heard it. And this is Monday Lock and Load, Parabellum, Prepare for War. And I wanted to talk about Donald Trump's Second Amendment position paper. Um, had a couple spirited things typing about it in the lobby. I just wanted to go over it because no other candidate has issued a Second Amendment paper, that position paper that I've seen yet. Uh, you know, so it's worth looking at. And so I linked it in the on the HVS Gun Channels chat. That's what is my channel? Gunchannels.com/HVS. And so have a quick look at that. And I also linked an opinion with regard to it's just a recent case in the Ninth Federal Circuit Court with that to do with privileges and immunities, which is, although it doesn't have to do with guns, it has to do with privileges and immunities, and it's about fishing rights, but it applies if you read the way Donald Trump's position paper approaches a national carry, that one state has to recognize a permit in another state. Like a driver's license is recognized. If you have a driver's license in, Arizona, you can drive in California. So and it's the same, should be the same thing with guns, because driving is a privilege, not a right. Privileges and immunities only applies to rights, not privileges. And so since you can drive with a driver's license, which is a privilege, you should be able to have a carry permit from one state and use it in another state, because that's a right, not a privilege. So, that was the link between the two, the California fishing case, their fishing game, where one right is, I need another drink of Monster Energy. And so basically it's California was charging out of state people like 5 times as much for a commercial fishing permit, and residents only had to pay, 500, and non-residents had to pay, 3,000 or something like that. And they declared that a violation of the fourth. That's the clause, clause 4 of the Constitution. So basically, I kind of like it because it's the whole thing called the chat Parabellum, because that's the thing is, if you want peace, prepare for war. And that's our 9mm round. But and this is the Iowa, this picture here, and my dad went there, visited the ship, and it's one of the pictures he snapped there. And that's where Trump had his quote foreign policy speech. So, I'm not going to get into the whole name calling thing about Trump, but I'll just say this. People say that, he hasn't stated what his positions are on this, what his positions are on that or the other. And, it's like if you asked General MacArthur, well, how is he going to win in Korea? Well, he didn't know how he was going to win. And if he knew he was going to land on Incheon, he wouldn't have told anybody, so because then they would have been there waiting for him. So, and with regard to the debate in Carly Fee Arena, that has to be the lamest thing I've ever seen by the press. They keep saying he's going to lose. They want him to lose. And if he slipped on black ice and walking down the street somewhere back east, then they'd loop it over and over. And this is why the man can't be president. And this is why he's going to lose. But
didn't she just drop in points today?
Didn't what? No.
Yeah,
well,
she dropped in points a few points today.
Well, the point was that, okay, you see that if you saw the debate in the Reagan Museum library, and I've been there, I have a playing card. I posted a picture of like the playing card deck from the Air Force One. Welcome aboard on Gun Channels the day of the debate. But they're running. If you look at the plane behind them, they're running for the presidency of the United States. And guess what? You're going to have a thick skin, because if you're running for president, you're going to take a lot of insults, a lot of jabs, and it's not a marshmallow roast. they're coming after you. Okay, and Trump's in charge. They're coming after him, and the press has been out to hang him since before he started. I mean, I remember the last White House Correspondents' Dinner. It would be really fun for Trump to win, just because it would piss off Obama. That's but I'm only really interested at this point in a Second Amendment position. So that's all I'm really going to talk about. All the flip-flopping and what his position was. I mean, every politician flip-flops. I don't care. He has two position papers, immigration and Second Amendment. And the Second Amendment one made a lot of sense to me, and nobody else has one. So if you haven't looked at it yet, have a quick look. And if you're in external, I'll just read it. I've been having some YouTube and Google's been doing some weird stuff lately, last few days, with Flash and videos or whatever it is, Adobe Flash. So I'm just going to read it. So I probably won't be in the externals, because I don't want to tempt Google, Google gods or whatever. But towards the end, it's the next to last point says national right to carry. The right of self-defense doesn't stop at the end of your driveway. That is why I have a concealed carry permit, and why tens of millions of Americans do too. This permit should be valid in all 50 states. So he's not saying that there should be a federal permit. He's just saying that the permit that you have from your state should be legal in the other ones. And that goes to privileges and immunities. And when people bring up states' rights, well, that goes to, that's why they would have to pass federal law, and again, only because it wouldn't work unless it was a right. And because the second, now, a valid driver's license, it says is the next sentence, a driver's license works in every state, so it's common sense that a concealed carry permit should work in every state. If we can do that for driving, which is a privilege, not a right, then surely we can do that for concealed carry, which is a right, not a privilege. Okay, so some NRA lawyer wrote that for him. That's what I think, and I don't care, because if he actually passes this, now maybe you live in a state where you don't need a permit to carry, maybe you live in a state where you already have one and they're easy to get, but for everyone else behind enemy lines, this is important. I mean, this pretty much has got, this has got me, to the point of buying a Trump camo hat. And there's 3 different versions of the camo cap that he has. But I don't know if I can bring myself to give that guy, with all the money that he has, $10 or whatever. Actually, it's $30 for the cap, but whatever, or just donate $10. But I have to say, nobody else has actually written this down. So, again, because it's a right, not a privilege, the privileges and immunities clause kicks in, and if it's a states' right issue, that's why they have to pass a federal law, and then the supremacy clause kicks in again, because it's a right, not a privilege. It looks to me constitutional on the face of it if they just passed a law that says a permit can be recognized from one state should be recognized in the other, and then that way it strengthens the Second Amendment, because if one state in the union passes issues permits, then that's all you need to have. It just bypasses all this shit in the court and the delaying tactics of the anti-gun people to just make up a new law, stretch it out, and the endless appeals, the en banc panels, all that will just be over. We could bypass the whole mess. I mean, I feel like George Bush or Jr. there, or what do we call it? Jeb. George Bush Jr., George Bush Sr., and Jeb, the latest Bush. He would appoint conservative justices, but I do not see him going to push a national right to carry. So,
he hasn't really proven in his track record that he's pro Second Amendment.
Yeah. So, by the way, I wanted to introduce Night Strike here, who's new and to Gun Channels, and we were talking earlier, and he once in elementary school saved the virtue of some girl. What chivalry? In a chivalrous fashion, saved the virtue of some girls with his ass somehow in elementary school. I don't know how, but he did it. Okay, so
Thanks.
Congrats. I couldn't have done that, But anyway, and so uh, it, basically, now in the case that I linked with regard to the California Ninth Circuit case, Merrilee versus Bonham. Did I actually link that case? Let me have a quick look at my channel. Right. U.S. Courts Data Store Opinions. That's 9. So September 18th, 2015. That's a very recent case. And let's have a quick skip to the end, but before the dissenting opinion. This again, that it deals with the whole standard review and whether it's strict scrutiny, but it's basically, let's skip the discussion, go to the ruling. Let's not get into the tumbleweeds here. As I scroll down to the end. As rulings go, this is a short one. Conclusion. Excuse me. Conclusion. For the above reasons, we hold that the California's differential commercial fishing license fees violate privileges and immunities clause. Charging non-residents 2 to 3 times the amount charged to residents plainly burdens non-residents' right to pursue a common calling, in this case, commercial fishing. So making a living is a right. Okay, so commercial fishing is a right. So, you have the right to liberty and happiness and pursuit of that, and that's a right. Fishing. Such discrimination violates privileges and immunities clause unless the state carries the burden to show that such discrimination bears a close relation to the achievement of substantial state objectives. Right. So that's why you would need a law actually making it. You don't need one for a driver's license, but I guess nobody fights over driver's license. They just fight over guns. Anyway, although its stated subjective compensation for state expenditures for conservation or enforcement is valid, California has failed to show that the differential fee charged to a non-resident is closely related to a resident shares of the state's expenditures. So there's a dissent there. And you can read that and email me a rebuttal to mail it to Yankee Marshall. Okay. So anyway.
Oh, he'll love you for that one.
Yeah. I'm sure he loves me. But I'm not in his videos that on his iPad or whatever got stolen. So
oh, you're just gonna throw fire on it, aren't you?
Yes. Oh, Moon Food. I already had this to state. I don't know why people get so upset about, wanting about Trump, but well, I don't know about Jeb Bush. I'm not from Florida. I think I don't know if Sean has anything good to say about him. The Florida Kerry guy. I just don't get the feeling that he would go for that. Well, Moon Food. It's not the number of people of the chat. It's the I think it's the depth of the converse intelligence and of the constitutional Second Amendment thought process that I'm trying to get here. Yeah, you could have 100 people in a chat, but anyway, I'm just trying to sort through all this stuff. So everybody that doesn't live in a pro-gun state can eventually get, constitutional, carry, or have a gun permits recognized from other states, so we could get a gun permit for another state and have it recognized in the state where we actually live. So I think that's important to a lot of people. If you live in Arizona or Las Vegas or Texas, it might not matter that much, but since I don't live there, it matters. And uh, I think everybody would agree that we all have, um, uh, everybody that's an American has the right to Second Amendment stuff. Um, so I, I'll just say, as far as Trump goes, I like his Second Amendment position, and it's important enough to me to vote for the guy because one, I think he's got enough money that he could almost, he could buy all the commercial time, airtime he needs for advertising, and he makes Romney look like a homeless person just as far as how much money he's got. I mean, he's got enough money to almost buy the presidency if it's not something that you can buy, but almost. So, and then if he actually follows through on what's in this paper, you know, then that's just going to be awesome for us people in behind enemy lines. Well, where all I can go, all place I can carry my gun is in hunting zones and on my own property. Um, and I won't get into building my jungle volcanic hideaway yet on this chat because I've been into that on others. But
Apparently, they're saying it's not showing up us being in this chat or in this live show, and they're saying we need to add one more person so that it'll show everyone who's participating in this live chat.
Wait a minute. I need to stop screen sharing, maybe, or
I just figured I'd bring it up because it's people were mentioning it in gun channels on your webpage.
There need to be 3. Well, somebody else joined. Then I put out the link, but I didn't know that. That's a new rule because I've never even heard that one. It's not showing up in gun channels because there's not 3 people in the chat.
Well, no, at the bottom in Google Hangouts where it shows your picture, my picture, and who they are. Apparently, It's not showing up.
Okay. Well, that's weird. I don't think that's ever happened before.
I apologize for interrupting.
I don't know what that's new, man. Well, they're hearing me anyway. So I'm just trying to make a point, and Trump says ban high points. Who's got the chloroform? It shows when he talks, but not when. How about if I take off my screen share, see if that helps? Because maybe they just don't like my picture or something. How's that? Any better? Oh, because I've never heard you need 3 people in a chat. Is that what you're saying?
That's what some of the guys are saying. I think it's either Pink said that or one of the other guys said it. I think Pink said it.
You need 3 people in a chat to make it show up on gun channels or on Google Hangouts?
On Google Hangouts in this discussion right here.
All right. Well,
somebody else join.
Right. Well, if somebody else wants to join, that would solve the problem. So I'll just put it out there. I'll just copy the link one more time. But if not, I mean, I've never had that problem before because I've started out chats with 2 people, and it's not a problem or a rule. Forget about it. Always been that way. Geez, I'm okay with no high points. I'm just trying to read this chat. Well, I'm confused. Maybe somebody can explain this to me later, but I'm just going to copy this chat link and paste it one more time. And then I'm going to just to try and finish up on the Second Amendment issue, because I think there's a lot of people in a lot of states that would really dig that kind of national carry law being passed, where one state permits would have to be recognized in another state. So let me copy this thing one more time. Control copy, close. Yeah, Google, I don't know what they're doing, but I've never had a problem with it. So Yeah, I like talking about the Second Amendment. I love. I mean, if I always follow the court cases, um, and I've always followed that. That's why I originally came to gun channels, because every second matters, and that's why I started watching gun channels at all, was because of the whole every second matters thing, which I like. Sometimes I forget, but to go, but that's why watched gun channels originally was for every second matters, um, which is the second of every month. They have a chat uh, on something about the Second Amendment. The thing is, the way that's the problem with it is that the court cases move so slow. If they could just pass that one law, that would just cut through all the crap in court and bypass it and go to one last, challenge of that, but that law, that if they were to pass it. But I have a feeling that this would be a law that they would write correctly, because the NRA would help, and Trump has good lawyers. Say what else, I'm sure he has good lawyers because he can afford them, but they could write a law correctly. Unlike Congress, when you do it with lobbyists, nothing gets written correctly. But it's amazing how Washington's work. We get class 3 boomer. You lost me, Doctor. No.
I read that. I just almost fell out of my chair laughing.
Class 3 boomers. All right. Speaking of boomers, I'm not going to start talking about the Middle East. All right. Submarines are called boomers, but anyway. So Trump talks about what is enforce the laws on the books, fix our broken mental health system, defend the rights of law-abiding gun owners, gun and magazine bans, background checks. I like what he said about background checks. There has been a national background check system in place since 1998. Every time a person buys a gun from FFL, which is the overwhelming majority of all gun purchases, they go through a federal background check. Study after study has shown that very few criminals are stupid enough to try and pass a background check. I don't know. Criminals are pretty dumb sometimes. They get their guns from family, friends, or by stealing them. Yeah, I know people. I've seen people register them with their girlfriends, or their wives registering them, but they're carrying them. So I've seen that right at the registration office.
I've seen that at the Walmart counter.
Yeah, but doing it in a police station is different than doing it at Walmart. So,
good point. Good point. I'm sorry.
No, you can bring these things up. I appreciate it. So the overwhelming majority of people who go through background checks are law-abiding gun owners. When the system was created, gun owners were promised that it would be an instant, accurate, and fair. Unfortunately, that isn't the case. Too many states are failing to put criminal and mental health records into the system, and it should go without saying that a system's only going to be as effective as the records that are put into it. What we need to do is fix the system we have and make it work as intended. What we don't need is to expand a broken system. Yeah, I like that. That makes sense. All I know is that would be a great law, because I'm tired of waiting for Peruta and what 11 liberal judges are going to write down. I think on calguns.net, they actually just deleted all the comments since the trial, or move them to the who cares category, because everybody's speculating what 11 judges are going to write, and there's no time limit on when they have to write it yet at all. They could take as long as they want. And really, if they pass a law like in this point, I mean, does any other candidate have any gun position? If they pass this law, then we just cut through all that bullshit, and I think that's what people like about Trump. But he's winning right now, but it's a long way to Tipperary. So Um, I just think that I really don't care what his positions were in the past, and I don't care how many people he's lied to, or if his. I mean, that whole attack by Carly Fiorina on his businesses. Yeah, he bailed on Atlantic City. He got out that's the key thing when you start a business is to know when to get out of it. When you get into a casino, you have to sell it at the right time.
The same thing with the military conflict.
Yeah, if I start talking about the Middle East, then everybody's going to leave. So,
no, I was being general, not Middle East.
Yeah. Well, uh, I'll leave that to. Oh, since I wrote it down, since you brought up military conflict, this day in naval history, September 21st. 1858, the USS Niagara departs with 200 slaves liberated from slave brig Echo off of Cuba, and they took them back where they came from to Liberia. And in 1860, the USS Portsmouth captured a slave ship, Emily, off of Africa. So that's today in naval history. But anyway, that's it to make that short and sweet. I actually think also the Navy shot down their own plane today by accident, proving that it was flying faster than the bullets that it was shooting, or something like that. An F-111F. So, but that just shows that the Navy can't do everything right. So there you go. Let's see. I think the USS Reagan just deployed to Japan. So I think I pretty much covered the. He's talking about. He also talked about enforcing the laws in the book, specifically something that Eric Holder didn't like. Project Exile. I never even heard of that one before, but that was in Virginia. Let's see. Several years ago, there was a tremendous program in Richmond, Virginia called Project Exile. It said that if a violent felon uses a gun to commit a crime, you'll be prosecuted in federal court and go to prison for 5 years. No parole or early release. Obama's former Attorney General Eric Holder called that a, quote, cookie cutter, unquote, program. That's ridiculous. I call that program a success. Murders committed with guns in Richmond decreased by over 60% when Project Exile was in place. In the first 2 years of the program alone, 350 armed felons were taken off the street. Why does that matter to law-abiding gun owners? Because they're the ones who the anti-gun. Yeah, it's like, they're the ones who's the anti-gun politicians. And this whole thing it's like the media thinks they control America, or they act like their opinion is right. The media that are been out to get Trump since the CB. I mean, if you saw the White House Correspondents' Dinner that Trump was at, they've been out to hang this guy, but they're not the voters. And it's just fun watching him get red-faced and frustrated because every time they predict that that's it for Trump. That's it for Trump. Except it's not it for Trump. He's still winning. So that's not it for Trump. And the media, it's like, I think that Muslims like America, just for the record. If I was a Muslim, I'd like America because you can say what you want here. And although Trump didn't say anything to some guy who wants, I mean, you can come on here and insult Christmas and Christians and Jews and Catholics or Protestants or Presbyterians, and you could also insult somebody's religion, and you can insult Muslims. You can't do that.
Speech.
You can't do that from where they came from. They'll kill you. They'll throw you off a roof for being a Christian. They'll do worse for being Jewish. they'll, and I think that, the way that America will win in the end because, um, is, because Muslims really do like America. And 99%, but it's the other 1% that are a bitch. Then we're gonna have to fuck with them. And I also think that, you know since I don't speak Arabic and most of the people don't speak Arabic, if you go on a Muslim website, an American Muslim website, the if they say anything bad about Muslims, that's okay. If they say anything bad about, I don't think I would even know, because it's in Arabic. If they say that terrorism is bad, and from what I've heard, there's a lot of that on American based Muslim websites, that this terrorism shit is bad, ISIS is bad, but we don't see that because I don't speak Arabic, and the websites are in Arabic. So, I just think that a lot of Muslims like America. So, and that's all I have to say on that. If I was Muslim, I'd like America, But yeah, with the good comes the bad. People are gonna insult, people are gonna insult every religion because they can, and or blame, you could blame all the Jews, blame all the Christians, blame all the Muslims, It, it,
I just blame all the Hawaiians.
Yeah, it's my fault. It's my fault.
And also, well,
Hey, Smeggy.
Oh, when did you get in here?
2 seconds ago, so I don't have any idea what you were talking about. I just figured I'd jump in and say it's your fault.
Let's start all over.
Hey, at least it's showing our names and, the thing at the bottom now.
We exist. We exist at Google. We exist. So, we're talking about, anyway, so I said my bit on the whole Trump and religion thing with the Muslims, and where some guy was, but we were talking about, I linked the Trump's Second Amendment position paper, basically. And that's what the chat was about.
Yeah, I saw that. If I can just give my 2 cents real quick.
Shoot.
I feel like he can say whatever he wants. I don't trust him to actually support the Second Amendment all that much. Well, that's just my personal opinion. I get the feeling that it's good that he's saying it. I agree. But if he becomes president, I don't see him, like, first day in office going, okay, free guns for everybody.
No, he'll build a little putting course the first day.
No. He's Trump, not, Oprah.
What does it have to do with putting in a putt?
Well, he's got enough money to give everyone free guns.
Well, we don't need free guns. We can buy our own guns. We need that national carry permit. I mean, I mean, not a national carry permit. I misspoke. Sorry. I mean, you need state reciprocity law. A permit in one state gets recognized by other states because it's a right, not a privilege. Privileges and immunities, and state supremacy, federal supremacy clause. So I think it would survive, but challenged in court if they pass that kind of a law. But I just want, because I live in Hawaii. Yeah, I would like be able to go to Las Vegas, get a permit, and then come back here where they don't want to issue them and have it be recognized, basically. So,
see, I would almost worry with and I don't know, but if they did a national reciprocity, if then the anti-gunners would have an argument to say, well, because it's every state's recognized, you don't need to get a non-resident license, and they would do away with non-resident license, so you could only get it in the state you lived in.
Well, no, but you could establish residency in more than one state. But no, the thing with the case was that I pointed out was that they charge in California with the Fish and Game. They charge more money for commercial fishing licenses to non-residents than they did to residents. I think. Wait, say what you said one more time so I can process it because my brain isn't working right.
Well, okay.
Say it one more time.
I said my fear
is slow.
is that with national reciprocity, it would then give like the anti-gunners the argument that you don't need a non-resident carry permit, so they would do away with those, and so you would only be able to get a permit from the state you're a resident of. Because in the past, the whole reason for a non-resident would be, well, I want to go to that state and be able to carry, so I'm going to get the non-resident one, so when I am there, I can carry there. But if there's reciprocity between all of the states, you don't really need a non-resident one.
Unless you live in a state that doesn't issue them.
Well, I know. I put my anti-gun hat on for a second.
I don't see these pro-gun states passing anti-gun laws. Do you?
Not in South Carolina.
Do you, Smeggy?
No, I mean, I think the states that enjoy freedom tend to keep freedom. It's just, I think, is something to keep in the back of your mind. It might be something that's brought up.
And I'm sure the freedom-loving states will be ready to vote down any such proposals. But I'm sure that they could, I'm sure they could pass that in Hawaii or California, but they probably couldn't pass that in Arizona or Texas or Nevada. So, but we're a long way from Tipperary to getting, Trump in the White House in the first place. I'm just glad there's a politician who wrote a Second Amendment position paper because I don't think anybody else has, and it's important. So Parabellum, what did I say? I said
9mm.
Parabellum means prepare for war. Vix pacem, parabellum. If you want peace, prepare for war. It's like, and they made that Parabellum the 9mm because it was ops. The U.S. had the Colt Peacemaker, or was it? Yeah, Colt made the Peacemaker, right? So this was your European version was the Parabellum.
So you think that Trump's going to give everyone 9mm reciprocity?
Hey, I'll be perfectly happy with my Glock 17, but I'm ready for the wastelands, post-apocalyptic wastelands. It won't matter what the laws are, but it's great to live in a place with rule of law. So we don't want to throw that out the window. But so let's see. Dr. No is saying there's not going to be 100% reciprocity with some sort of federalized guidelines, training, registration that satisfies all the states. Not with well, if we have a Republican president and Republican majority in the House and Senate, and I think they might be able to get, with the help of the NRA, they might be able to get something worthwhile done. I'm just praying for. It would be great if this happened, something like this happened, because, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see people have their rights restored before I pass in America, before I pass from this world into the next, where hopefully God has a shooting range already set up and we can shoot targets. So. What state do you live in, Smeggy?
Michigan.
Michigan. Yeah, you've told me that before. And in Night Strike, where do you live?
I live in South Carolina, the South.
You're free. Well, I like Lindsey Graham. I mean, he makes sense to me.
He also owns an AR-15.
Well, hey.
But remember, when they were trying to ban it, he went on national television on one of those shows. It's like, hey, by the way, this is my AR-15. You can't ban this one.
He went on TV and said that?
Yes, he did.
I knew I liked him. I knew I liked him before even he knew.
And all the other people that were anti or trying to go against the AR-15, they were weary of him because he had that. And he's like, by the way, folks, there's no magazine in this. That means it's unloaded.
Well, there could have been one in the chamber.
No, he made sure.
I promise you this gun is not
I'm sure
loaded.
he did. I'm just saying.
But I saw that on TV, and I'm like, I'm proud to be in South Carolina at this moment. Probably he's going to say something to screw it up in the next 5 minutes. But for this moment, I'm glad I live in South Carolina. You know?
Yeah, I would really love to see any politician coming in Hawaii come on with a AR-15 or AK-47 that didn't have a commercial with children trying to ban it. You know.
It was just one of those politic chats that they have on TV on like Sunday mornings. Just one of those.
Well, you know, the thing about always talking about Second Amendment court cases and issues is that it's that they move so fucking slow. You know, I mean, like there probably won't be another 11-judge panel on a Second Amendment case like there was in the Peruta case for 10 years. You know, so I just think that this is a good idea that Trump put in his paper. And I think every Republican should issue some kind of Second Amendment paper. You know, it's I think it's better than a plank in the Republican platform. You know, those things used to be important. They used to report on what their planks are, and they used to. I don't know. Do people still report on what the planks are in the platform? Because everybody would always, you know. But if they put it out, this is my immigration position. This is my Second Amendment position. You know, that's what Trump's put out. And I know Lindsey Graham's just has been all foreign policy. You know, I like Lindsey Graham, even though he used to be a lawyer, and I hate lawyers. But that's what I remember. I noticed he said that. He says, I used to be a lawyer. Well, you can't stop being a lawyer. You're going to unpass the bar? I mean, you know, but anyway.
Well, no, he stopped practicing. He's a politician now.
So you could do something
that's an
corrupt
improvement,
and get your license taken away. Then you would used to have been a lawyer.
But you could probably still be a politician if that happened.
Well, you'd probably make a better politician if that happened, but
yeah, and you know, and just again, since you missed it earlier, Smedgy, I was saying that with regards to Trump not saying what his positions are in every fucking thing, it's and how we deal with Putin or how we deal with anything, or I mean, I don't think he has enough foreign policy experience myself, it's just that like you can't ask. Well, if you ask General Patton how he would deal with something, he'd get in there, he'd kick some ass and slap some people around. If you ask MacArthur how he was going to defeat Korea, win in Korea, he wouldn't tell you that he was going to. Oh, I'm going to land at Incheon because then the enemy would be there waiting. So you don't tell people what your ideas are, and especially if you don't have one. You don't tell them what your ideas are.
Well, I think that's where Trump lies. That's why everything he says is pretty general. Is he doesn't really have a policy completely nailed down, which at some points can be good because I mean you don't want the person thinking he knows everything. Eventually, you're going to have people give advice, and you got to figure out what's the best thing to do.
If they know if Putin knows what your cards are before you start playing poker, and if he can read what your cards are, there's no point, But if he doesn't know what your cards are, then that's different. And the thing with Reagan, it was that I think all the Russians thought he was crazy enough to nuke some. He was capable of launching nuclear weapons at people. And if I was Trump, I would have said when somebody asked me can they trust you with the nuclear codes? And well, the only people that should be worried about what dealing with the nuclear codes are the enemies of America. I mean, he should just play it up. He should just go into it. He shouldn't go into it. He should be like, yeah, I don't think the Russians should be able to trust me at all with the nuclear codes. I mean, that's like saying, yeah, I'm never, ever, ever going to shoot anybody, in my entire life, no matter what. I'm never going to pull my gun or grip it in a threatening manner ever, 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 no matter what happens. that's bullshit.
That's really hard to keep.
Yeah, it's impossible. So they say, you trust Donald Trump with the nuclear codes? I say, oh, I hope the Russians don't trust me. I hope the Iranians don't trust me. And I hope any enemy of America doesn't trust me with the nuclear codes. And just you have to leave it like, yeah. Reagan was like, go ahead, make my day. I'll do it. I'd rather push the button than let you guys win. And that's how I remember him. I mean, and it's like, Parabellum. If you want peace, prepare for war. And that's why I named this chat Parabellum. So. And I know that the whole phrase is there's been put a couple different ways, and I'm sure
I think it's si vis pacem parabellum.
Right. So, anyway, I think this is an important topic, and I don't know. We don't have too many hardcore Second Amendment look at the cases stuff lately, but because the court systems move so slow, and I hope that we can make some forward progress in this election, and if nothing else, I'd like to see some other candidates issue Second Amendment positions. But I think as the debate goes on, I'm glad we have a long time, because with as the Republicans go further in, I hope they pound some of this shit out. By yelling at each other and arguing, so all the debates they're going to have might be actually useful. But I don't think the format of the CNN debate worked very well. But mostly because they weren't ready for it.
Televised cat fight. I mean, and they even set it up like that because I remember when they were explaining how the debate was going to go, is they're like, well, if any candidate mentions another candidate in his response, then we'll go to them afterwards. So they were all just basically, calling each other out and then fighting back and forth. It was interesting, but I don't know. It wasn't the best.
You got to see them think on their feet a little bit, but you got to see them think on their feet. But I think that it's just that you can tell that the media is out to get Trump because it was all focused on everybody, taking shots at him, but I don't know. We're just going to go forward. This is America, and we're going to do the best that we can. And like I said, I'm going to always be watching the court cases and stuff because that's what I like to do. And if anybody has stuff they want to argue with me about on Second Amendment or just talk about, that's what I want to talk about. So, it just, like I said, sometimes it moves so slow, the court system. There's nothing to talk about for months. So I thought this was an important paper. So,
can I suggest something then, kind of real quick? It's not really about that, but just as far as court cases and how it takes so long and everything. I'll suggest to you and anyone else who's listening, the YouTube channel for the NRA. Every week they come out with, it's the NRA ILA News Minute, and it's normally 2 or 3 minutes long, but they basically summarize what's going on, and then they do federal level and then state level. Did something get introduced? Did something get passed? Did something get voted down? Did something get vetoed? Something signed? Whatever it is. They kind of sum up the week of stuff that happens and remind you, oh yeah, that case is still going on, because it got filed 6 months ago and they're still talking about it. So I would suggest that if you want to keep current, that's actually a really good resource.
Yeah, I always just click on calguns.net. Put my Iowa battleship picture back up. I always click on calguns.net, and they've got a forum there that if anything happens, it'll be up pretty quick. So
yeah, definitely. I support those resources as well. But if you really want a real quick video style summary, that's one of the best ones out there that I've found.
Hey, do you guys out there want me to do a patch giveaway for gun channels? I'll wait 30 seconds, see if anybody actually wants me to do a patch giveaway out there. Yeah, so every Monday at 4:30 Hawaiian, 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, I do this lock and load chat. Same bat time, same bad channel. Same badass channel.
You totally stole my thing.
Yes, thank you for letting me steal that. I mean, and it was your idea. It was your idea.
Well, thank you for letting me participate.
Well, thanks for showing up, and because we needed 3 people, so we needed a dead body. So.
Is that what Smeggy is?
Well, the guy from the UK said he was like Frosty the Snowman. So, but you know.
Yeah.
He thinks.
I saw that. That's pretty funny.
I like that guy, you know, but you know.
Yeah, I didn't have enough tinfoil at work to get through that whole chat, though, man. He went off topic pretty easily, but he seems like a cool guy. I'd like to actually, get that chat going.
I have to get Skype to do that with him. I don't like Skype because there's too many. All right, yeah. So let's see. I'm gonna do a question for a gun channels patch giveaway here. Give me like 10 seconds to think of a relevant question. Okay. Who's buried in Grant's tomb? No, that won't do. Let's see.
Where's Jimmy Hoffa?
I think I need to do a Hell on Wheels, or I don't watch Walking Dead, so I can't really do zombie questions. And
how about a tombstone question?
Like what do you want on your tombstone?
No, I meant the whole. You remember you mentioned you like the Old West, so I was gonna say, how about like something pertaining to Tombstone, like the shootout at the OK Corral?
What was the name of the OK Corral?
I think we just scared away.
We just scared away 8 viewers. No, I'll do a Hell on Wheels question. But I need to pick one that somebody can't just Google. I should have prepared this in advance instead of waiting for the last minute.
Prompt 2 stuff, man. Yeah.
Okay. I have a better one. And this will be pretty. Who got in last night's worst game ever, football game? It was Dallas versus who did they play? Somebody really bad. Dallas versus the Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles. Who got flagged on the side? What position got flagged on the sideline for unsportsmanlike conduct? Get that question right. You win a gun channels patch.
What was it? The goalie?
It's a football game, dude. There's no.
I'm sorry. Point guard.
Wrong. I'm sure you're doing better than G-Webs.
It was totally the catcher.
No, left field, I think.
It was the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. What player got flag standing on the sideline got flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct? Pink, you're close, but no cigar. Oh, guess who's right? He wins it. Rich wins it. Yes, the kicker, the Dallas kicker got he
What'd he do?
uh a catcher caught a pass and the kicker uh, grabbed his arm. He basically grabbed his arm and held him up or something, and so they flagged him for unsportsmanlike conduct. And you know the pass receiver like ripped his arm away and said, "Get your fucking hands off of me!" And all the coaches just laughed at the kicker. The Dallas coach just busted up laughing, until they got the 15-yard penalty. But it was such, that's like an all Madden team thing. Kickers, I mean, I remember he gave an all Madden award to a kicker, but he was actually in the game and somebody got an unsportsmanlike, contact for an unnecessary roughness penalty, but yeah, he was wobbling out of bounds, and he had run for a few yards, so the kicker standing on the sideline out of bounds, he grabbed the guy's arm and something, he almost put him in an arm bar or something, so that was just funny. So yeah, so
tell the guy how to get his patch.
Richard, you go to gunchannels.com/DPG, Daily Patch Giveaway, gunchannels.com/DPG, and fill out whatever you need to fill out there. And I think Dallas had a good kicker. There it is. And go to there and fill out the form and pick a patch. And G-Web should send you a patch because I know he loves sports, and so I'm sure he's glad I asked that question. Anyway, so every Monday it's Lock and Load, same bat time, same bad ass channel. And thanks for listening to this is Hawaii Volcano Squad and Lock and Load on Gun Channels. And hey, I just want to talk about the Second Amendment and stuff. So that's what I'm here for. See y'all next week.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you.